In any society, a mother's love for her child is thought to be sacred. But this month, in an American court, that most universal of instincts is called into question. The child involved is 7-year-old Hannah Milbrandt, her mother 35-year-old Terri Milbrandt. The jury must decide whether Terri Milbrandt violated the trust of her daughter and perpetuated a sadistic fraud on a caring community. Until March this year, Terri and Robert Milbrandt lived in this house in Urbana, Ohio, with their 7-year-old daughter, Hannah.
The Milbrandts live directly across the street from us over here, and they have lived there for the last couple of years, of course, until just recently.
A typical blue-collar family. Bob worked as a printer. Terri held a variety of jobs. Both had children from other relationships. Only Hannah, their one child from their 9-year marriage, lived with them.
I like them, and my children like to go over there and play. I thought Terri was a good mother. She seemed like she genuinely cared.
Terri, Bob, and Hannah attended the Faith Fellowship, one of Urbana's 24 churches. It was from this congregation that the Milbrandts took their closest friends. The pastor of the church, Dave Henry, and his wife, Amy.
I would say she was my best friend. I confided in her a lot, and we had a lot in common, I felt at the time. We laughed a lot, and it was just a normal friendship.
The kids got along. Hannah, she was Bailey's age. Just seemed like the perfect, relationship. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't all the kids come up here?
In April last year, the Milbrandts' friends at church heard some terrible news.
Bob called on our answering machine, crying. Amy and Dave, Hannah had her doctor's appointment today because Hannah had been having headaches. And they had made a doctor's appointment for her. And he was crying, emotional. Said we found out that Hannah has a tumor the size of a pea on the back of her brainstem.
Robert Milbrandt and his wife Terri then broke the same harrowing news to their daughter.
We told her there's a little spot there and we need to go to some doctors to remove it. And where it's at, well, they can't do that by surgically removing it. So, you'll have to do some type of radiation.
We prayed day and night. People prayed. We had prayer chains going every time something bad happened with Hannah.
For Hannah, life was beginning to change.
Hannah wasn't allowed to come out and play anymore with my children. She wasn't allowed to come in our house, saying that she would catch something and it would be fatal to her. We thought that Hannah was going to die.
Yes.
I really did believe, and I was preparing my daughter for it.
Yes.
The Milbrandts' friends noticed patches missing from Hannah's hair. Terri Milbrandt asked her closest friend, Amy, a hairdresser, for help.
She said, Amy, can you please do something with her hair? We can't, it keeps falling out on her pillow, and every time we wash it, it keeps falling out. And I said, Terri, what, do you want me to cut it all off? What do you want me to do? Hannah started sobbing. She goes, please, don't cut all my hair off, please. And I cut it off, and Hannah looked in the mirror and she said, Mommy, I look like a boy. And Terri said, but you look like a pretty boy, Hannah, and you can wear hats until your hair comes back in. It has to be this way.
A couple times, Teresa shaved it to where it was real, with maybe a facial razor or something like that. But most of the time, if anybody cut her hair, they just did it with regular barber's clippers with a thing on them just to keep it even.
By May, teachers at North Elementary Junior School had made special provisions for their stricken pupil. Hannah's schoolmates were told about her illness, and a day was planned to make her feel less self-conscious.
Mrs. Richardson told me that she's gonna send us home a paper that says there's a little girl named Hannah that has cancer in this school, and that we're gonna have Hat for Hannah Day.
All 300 pupils were instructed to wear a hat for the day in solidarity with Hannah.
Everybody in the school was wearing a hat, and so Hannah felt really happy that people were doing that just for her.
Emily and Hannah would go on to become best friends. Often she would speak of her fears and worries.
I felt bad for her because of her hair and that she couldn't put it up in anything. All she could do was put a hat on over it. She said that she wished she had hair so she could put it up in ponytails.
Hannah would continue to wear her trademark hats to cover her shaved head along with a surgical mask. She had 2 bandages on her back and neck which were said to cover chemotherapy ports. When Hannah's health seemed to worsen, her mother visited North Elementary School to talk to the children about her daughter's illness. She warned them that Hannah might have seizures.
My teacher said when she has seizures, if she shakes or something and we see her and Mrs. Prince doesn't see it, we have to get her immediately, and we have to go in a different room because it might be noisy for her. I got really scared.
Throughout all of this, Hannah Milbrandt still seemed to remain positive.
We thought she was amazing, to be going through what she was going through, but still being, very active.
She was always coming up to me saying hi and asked me how I was, and I thought it was really peculiar because she's asking me how I am, and here he is, she's the one with leukemia.
As word of Hannah's illness spread through the community, Terri Milbrandt would talk in detail about her daughter's worsening condition and her treatment.
We would talk. We'd talk the whole time that she was here, and she would go into great detail about what was going on with Hannah and that she had 3 tumors. One was at the base of her neck, one was in her jaw, one was in her spine. And she said that they were running like chemo and that they were hoping that it was going to shrink it.
By now, Terri reported that Hannah was enduring a hefty course of medication. Terri would explain that she drove her daughter to regular chemotherapy appointments in a nearby city. And latterly, she talked about a health care nurse called Beth that would visit Hannah at home 3 times a week.
There was a pill box, and there was always this long chemo pill, which Terri would say, they would crush it up and put it in her applesauce.
I can remember Bob and Terri telling Hannah this one specific pill she had to chew. She had to chew it up because it had, the roof of her mouth had to absorb it.
By May, news of Hannah's illness had also reached the fire department. Emily's father, Dave Kernute, brought the story to his colleagues' attention. And when they heard that the Milbrandts didn't have medical insurance to cover Hannah's treatment, they donated $500 from union funds. But it didn't stop there.
Today's my cook day. I'll be cooking lunch and dinner for the 7 guys on shift. A lot of guys don't like my meals because I can't cook that well. We have one good cook on our shift. It's Dave Inskeep back there. He's a really good cook. It struck everybody. I think everybody has kids here at the station, and when everybody found out about it, it was unanimous. Everybody wanted to give money and do whatever we could to help them out. Through this door right here, this is our fire gear room. We gave the family all expenses paid trip for the whole family to Kings Island for a weekend. That was a special wish for Hannah. That's what she wanted. And here we have our rec room. Guys can come in here after hours, after 4 o'clock, play foosball, get on the computer, get on a little game here that we have. It's a fire engine. One of our captains actually gave him money out of his own pocket to buy a puppy for Hannah that Hannah had wanted for a while. This is Fire Chief's office. Chief McIntosh. We went to a bake sale they had at North Elementary School, and guys were paying, you know, $40 for a loaf of bread just to give her family money. And that was some of the things we did. And, you know, we told them if there's anything else we could do to call us.
And the Milbrandts were certainly appreciative of the firefighters' generosity.
She tells everyone that the firemen helped her to get her puppy, and she thinks they are very cool guys. She's looking forward to coming to the fire station soon for a visit and bringing her puppy to show you. Hannah now has a Mediport in her lower neck to draw blood and receive medication through because her veins are getting so bad. She's lost weight, is now down to 33 pounds. Well, may God continue to bless all of you. I think you are awesome guys. Terri, Hannah, and Bob Milbrandt.
It wasn't just the fire department that were helping the Milbrandts. The whole community was pitching in. In America, charities collect the ring pulls from soft drinks cans, known as pop can tabs. The aluminium is recycled and the money donated to charity or to an individual's medical bills. Local school children were collecting them for Hannah Milbrandt. One of Hannah's helpers even made the local news herself.
There was a girl that saw this story on Channel 2, and she can barely breathe. She's in a wheelchair, can barely breathe. I mean, she has to have a respirator to breathe, and she saves pop tabs so she can afford her medical bills. And she saw this story about Hannah, and she gave up her hard-earned pop tabs to give to Hannah.
I've been collecting them since I was 8 years old, so that's 9 years. We could use the pop tab money to pay for things that Stephanie might need, but we feel it's more important to give to others.
With help from friends, Terri Milbrandt would go door to door with homemade collecting tins, asking local businesses for financial assistance.
I can't tell you how many times I reached into my own pocket and maybe had a couple dollars and threw in this can and threw in that can. You know, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't care.
They were telling us that they were paying $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month for Hannah's chemo.
Terry's mum, Mary, helped by selling candles to raise money for her grandchild's treatment. There seemed no limit to Urbana's charity.
Yep, this is Grimes Honeywell here. Employees took up a donation here, and the business met the donation amount that was donated by the employees. This is the church that the Milbrandts attended. They did a considerable amount to assist them with their bills.
We as a church, a small church, we raised a little over $7,000.
You know, there's a lot of places you can go and you'll get donations, and you'll get donations this size, but usually those cities are much larger than this. These people here actually gave till it hurt.
By October, Terri Milbrandt was telling the community that Hannah's condition was worsening.
Her mother told me she had 6 months to live, so I told Emily not much longer.
By November, Hannah was receiving counselling at her school in an attempt to prepare her for her possible death. Hannah asked Santa Claus for Christmas if she could be spared. But by the time Christmas came, teachers at North Elementary had made a shocking discovery, and Hannah was in protective custody. In November of last year, teachers at North Elementary School in Urbana, Ohio, had become concerned about one of their pupils. For over 6 months, they had never thought to question the fact that 7-year-old Hannah Milbrandt had leukemia. But now they were beginning to wonder.
They were led to believe that her hair was falling out in clumps, and the way they described it to us was her hair was cut short but even, and it didn't appear that it had been falling out. And also, they said she didn't seem lethargic. The Department of Job and Family Services went to the school, and investigators spoke with Hannah, They looked at Hannah's hair, and it appeared that her hair had been cut short but even. They also looked under a bandage on Hannah's back, and the bandage represented a chemotherapy port, but when they removed the bandage, it didn't appear that anything was underneath it.
Investigators spoke with Hannah's mother, Terri Milbrandt, at her Urbana home. And that evening, in a second interview, Terri Milbrandt confessed that Hannah's leukemia was in fact faked. Terry's mother, Mary Russell, was asked to bring Hannah to the police station.
It was, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We need to question this little girl. This is big. This is big. I leave my granddaughter on a chair, balled up in a little knot, crying. Grandma, please don't leave me.
When investigators interviewed Hannah, she told them about a blue pill that she had been given by her mother.
Hannah said that she was given a pill, a blue pill, to help fight the cancer. When she took this pill, she became tired, lethargic, she would fall asleep. And what was found out later during one of the interviews is that that blue pill was a sleeping pill.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, little baby. Mama went away and she told me to stay and take good care of this.
There's no dispute that Terri did in fact give sleeping pills to Hannah. And there's no dispute of the allegation that Terri gave sleeping pills to Hannah for the purpose of making her sleep while they were in the car so that she could tell her after she woke up, you just went to therapy, and Hannah wouldn't know any different.
Go to sleep, little baby, go to sleep.
The blue pill has been over-dramatized dramatically. One little packet of a sleeping pill that you can buy at a local convenience store that is, the only medication in it is Benadryl. But they've made it sound like she medicated her frequently.
Can't you hear them horses trot? Go to sleep, little baby.
Adult sleeping pills. I know adult sleeping pills would make me tired and sleepy, but to a 7-year-old, their little body, they just couldn't take it.
When they heard about the blue pill, the police realized they had to move quickly. They requested a warrant and searched the Milbrandts' home. There they found a small amount of money and a number of gifts from the local community given to help pay for Hannah's treatment. But the biggest surprise for the police was waiting in the Milbrandts' garage. Bags stuffed full of ring pools collected by the local community and apparently discarded.
When I stepped from the house into the garage, along the wall I found a large amount of pop can tabs that had been pulled away from the pop cans. And when I was going through the trash both in the house and the trash in the garage, I found that the pop cans from the house, the majority of them still had the tabs intact. That was probably the first real shock for me. You know, you just got to think every one of those was collected by a kid somewhere, you know, and turned into a school and collected at a school. And yeah, that was difficult to handle.
They couldn't even take the money from those pop tabs, and they were too lazy to do that. Even to cash in on those pop tabs, too much work. They'd rather do it the easy way, and you know, that just was unbelievable.
Stephanie and I just couldn't believe that, you know, someone would do that, because we have lived with her illness for 17 years, and I can't imagine someone pretending their child is going to die.
As they began to realize the scale of the deceit, the police decided to go public with the story.
We were afraid in the beginning that we weren't going to be able to find all the witnesses or all the victims. We made contact with one of the local medias and gave them a statement hoping that people would see that and would contact our department. As a result of that, we started getting hundreds of calls every day.
While the police continued with their investigation, the media weren't going to leave this story alone.
For 3 days we fought the media, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wasn't so bad on Friday. Or Friday night, Hannah's at my house. And Children's Services come with Sergeant Reese, and they take my granddaughter.
The Urbana police weren't finished there. Mary was herself soon to receive a visit, along with her daughter Terri and Hannah's father Robert. This time, the police came armed with arrest warrants.
It was like they were anticipating it. Nothing was said. We took him into custody, brought him to the police department, where we processed him here with fingerprints and mugshots, and then transported him to the Tri-County Jail.
But before they were to reach the jail, the three accused had to face the television cameras.
We were getting ready to pack it in for the day, and we got a call saying, "You guys, we got a good story for you. You're going to want to get up here."
6 p.m. this evening, we made 3 arrests in the Milbrandt case. We arrested Teresa Milbrandt, Robert Milbrandt, and Mary Russell.
On the evening of the 14th of January, the 3 accused were being held at the Urbana police station. Outside, the press pack was circling.
We knew that they had to go from the police station to the cruiser to Tri-County Jail. That's just the progression of the way things go. And once they started parading those 3 across the parking lot, my first question, and it wasn't very journalistically professional, but I just blurted out, "Hey, can you tell us why you used your daughter as a pawn in this thing?" It was one of those emotional things that, I couldn't control my emotions. "Hey, can you tell us about the people that you scammed?" I think even at that point, they began to realize that they were in for a dark period in their lives.
Anything you'd like to say?
I never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought that I was going to be arrested and spend 3 days in Tri-County Jail.
How did I feel about it? You did me wrong.
It was one of the things I would not want to do again.
Tonight, how could a mother tell her 7-year-old daughter she's going to die when the girl is perfectly healthy?
An astonishing story of heartlessness and deceit has come to light in America.
That got out of control. Terri Milbrandt tricked her whole town into believing that 7-year-old neighbors and her daughter.
Is deathly ill, you're not going to have any reason whatsoever to be suspicious and to investigate and to look into it. Her attorney told CNN.
She might look like a loving mother, but in fact, since April...
When I got arrested, we got to have all the media and all the other women in the jail, I mean, I'm 58 years old, and I'm over there with a bunch of I'm the oldest.
When this first appeared in the paper, shortly thereafter, the next day, the media just swooped in on Urbana.
It was just a great story, probably will made into a TV movie someday.
Sergeant David Reese was the investigating officer on the Milbrandt case. While the media relayed the story around the world, Sergeant Reese's list of victims continued to grow, and he was left explaining the details of the deception to those affected.
It was all a big lie.
The best I can describe it, and is what I've said in the past, is we oftentimes here have to deliver death messages, and I've delivered a lot of death messages that were easier than the message that I'd given these people.
I was at work here actually one day, and Officer Reese from the police department came over and asked us if we were giving this family money. And he held up a picture of Hannah. And I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Well, it's all a hoax." And I mean, everybody's their jaw just opened. It was unbelievable.
The deeper Reese dug, the more it became evident just how widespread the deceit had been.
I was told by witnesses that every business on the entire east side of the city had donated, with the majority of the businesses on the west side also donating. There's probably not a church or a business that you can find in Urbana that didn't donate. I don't know if it got started as a whim. I'll say by the end of it, it was moving around pretty good.
It seemed the more confident Terri Milbrandt became in her deception, the braver she got. In the police station, they're holding as evidence homemade collection cans that Terri used to gather donations.
Every store you went into around here had a can. Every gas station had a can with the little girl's picture on it, with half her hair shaved, asking for donations. So I mean, that was something everyone was real familiar with.
I gave $10, which might not be much, but I could have used $10, you know, I'm a single mom, so. But I didn't mind giving it at all. I didn't mind at all. And I certainly didn't want it back after I found out that wasn't the point.
I donated in the form of gift certificates, approximately $500 worth of gift certificates, so that they can raffle off or so that they can earn money from my gift certificates.
In total, it is alleged that the Milbrandts received money and goods to the value of over $30,000 before they were caught.
They would probably still be doing it now if they hadn't got caught. Putting those cups out and collected money and had fundraisers and kept shaving her head, and I mean, that was a lot of money they made off the community.
There are few details of where that money went. Only $500 in cash was ever recovered. The Milbrandts' friends are left speculating as to what their donations were spent on.
There was the time when they came in and said that they were going to New York. And I said, "You're going to New York?" Because she just got done telling me that there was no money, and this was close to Christmas. And so I said, "New York?" And she says, "Oh, yeah." She says, "My uncle sent me some money so that we could buy gas and get something to eat." So again, I just thought nothing more about it.
I was thinking, you know, if my child had cancer, would I worry about fake nails? Would that be a priority for me?
The first step in clearing up some of those details was taken in March when the preliminary court hearings were held in Urbana. On the face of it, the trial seemed relatively straightforward. But there was another twist still to come.
Are you prepared to enter a plea, counsel for defendant?
Anything you'd like to say?
It's now over 5 months since the Milbrandts were arrested, and the legal proceedings against them are well underway. Terri has been charged with theft, child endangerment, and felonious assault. Robert has been charged with conspiracy on each of those crimes.
In general, assault refers to a harmful touching of another person in any way. I believe that the felonious assault charge in this case stems from the allegations that they shaved the child's head for the purpose of making it appear like she was losing her hair. It could also come from allegations that they had her wear masks.
Terri's mother, Mary Russell, has been charged with theft. She faces up to 1 year in prison.
What it involves is the selling of some candles. That's what it involves at a little instant bingo place. And they got their candles for their money, exactly what they cost.
In March, the 3 accused entered their pleas at the arraignment hearing in Urbana.
CR 28, State of Ohio versus Robert John Milbrandt. Are you prepared to enter a plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that plea?
Not guilty.
Not guilty plea is accepted. Case numbers 2003, CR 32, State of Ohio versus Mary K. Russell.
I plea there too, not guilty.
Not guilty plea is accepted.
When she was first interviewed, Terri Milbrandt had confessed that Hannah's leukemia was faked. To the public, her trial seemed a formality. But Terri had another surprise for the community.
Or State of Ohio versus Teresa Lynn Milbrandt. Are you prepared to enter a plea, counsel for defendant?
We are, Your Honor. We'd enter a plea of not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity.
Court notes that pleas of not guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity have been filed. Typewritten plea signed by counsel for defendant.
And if the community was angry before, now it was furious. Many believed Terri was motivated more by financial gain than mental illness.
Oh, she's definitely sick. I really do believe that Terri is sick. Not mentally sick. I think she has an illness, and I think it's greed.
I truly believe she knew what she was doing.
Whatever sickness that Hannah's mom had.
I don't think she was sick.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it is a sick thing what she did, but I do not believe that she was insane or anything.
I don't think she's insane, but I do think she's sick.
County Prosecutor Nick Salvaggio is the man leading the state's case against the three accused. After the arraignment hearing, his press conference was dominated with questions about Terri's insanity plea. But Salvaggio appeared unruffled.
How much experience do you have trying a case that deals with the insanity plea? And how difficult is it for you to try a case, and how does that change your strategy?
We've had several cases with the insanity defense. Hasn't presented a problem. It's just like any other affirmative defense that we may have. We have to analyze why the defense is bringing this position forward and see what evidence we have to rebut it. We have already begun to contact experts in the field, and I have had some preliminary discussions with certain experts. If you wait a second, I'll get you some cards.
But Bob Milbrandt's lawyer claims that Terri Milbrandt has already had one psychiatric evaluation that backs up her insanity plea.
Let me explain something that happened that a lot of people aren't aware of. Shortly after this was discovered, Bob, of his own volition, and Teresa went down to a mental health organization. She visited with a psychiatrist. She visited with psychologists. This is the information I have. And those completely detached, unbiased, no reason to fabricate anything, neutral physicians diagnosed her as suffering a mental illness called Munchausen by proxy.
Munchausen by proxy is a syndrome in which somebody harms someone else or exaggerate an existing injury for the purpose of obtaining attention and to feel special about themselves. And usually it's a mother, and the person that they're harming is their child. The mother is usually a very caring and loving person on the surface. Usually she has a fair amount of knowledge of medical conditions. Sometimes she'll have a nursing background, but even without that background, they've usually really read up on the medical conditions and know a lot about the medical parts.
Consistent with Munchausen by proxy, Terri Milbrandt in the past worked as a nurse's aide, and perhaps for that reason she was able to talk convincingly about Hannah's treatment.
From all the medical terminology that I've heard, from explanations of what these types of disorders are, it's almost a perfect match to exact personality over the last year.
These people usually don't stop what they're doing either, even when they're very close to being caught. Instead of stopping, they'll just switch symptoms. Something new will come across.
Hannah wasn't physically hurt. Mentally, she will rebound. I don't think there was a lot of mental issues there that couldn't have been resolved quickly. I think she has more mental issues being away from the family than she does when she was with us.
It's very, very common for the child to continue to love that parent. The parent is their safety. That's who they look up to. And the alternative to thinking that is that their parents are bad, and that's just too scary for a 7-year-old to think.
I think she still has a place in her heart that she loves her parents, even though that they would do that to her. I know I would still love my parents even though I knew that they did that to me.
But for much of Urbana, it's difficult to find compassion for Terri Milbrandt, because many in the town who supported the Milbrandts have also only just heard that this isn't her first time in the spotlight, nor in fact in court.
They said that she'd been in prison before, which, I mean, no one had ever said anything, or I had no clue of that. So that was very shocking to me, to think that I was sitting across from someone that has been in all this trouble. And here I thought she was a good Christian woman. So that's...
No idea whatsoever about her background.
No. I knew that she had been in the Marysville Reformatory for Women, And I believe she told me it was for 3 months, but I really didn't know what for. I never asked, so I never really knew why.
In 1989, Terri Milbrandt was tried and convicted of credit card fraud and given probation. But 2 years later, while still on probation, she was convicted for passing bad checks and 1 count of theft. For that, she was sent to the Ohio Reformatory for Women, an institution to which she may well return. Yet while inside, Terri appealed to the court for leniency, citing her attendance at church and at parenting classes as indication of her rehabilitation. She was to serve just 4 months of her 18-month sentence.
She's definitely been in rough spots before, and she seemed to have gotten out of them, but I don't think anything's going to get her out of this one. I mean, a leopard can't change its spots, and I think people have seen the spots. And, you know, this has been a really tough story. I mean, you know, as a journalist, you're supposed to just go right down the middle and not lean one way or the other, but this story has just been very difficult not to, you know, take the side of Hannah and take the side of the community.
It's not just Terri Milbrandt's insanity plea that has angered Urbana. The town also has a hard time accepting the claims made by Robert Milbrandt. Because Bob Milbrandt argues that Terri's hoax was so elaborate that for 8 months, even he, her own husband, knew nothing about it.
You look in hindsight and you're like, I should have caught this, you know? I'm not an idiot, but obviously it looks like I am.
This is a strong statement for a lawyer to make, a real strong statement, and probably above and beyond what you should say. I've told many people that if there is a conviction in this case, I believe an innocent man will go to prison.
For 9 months, the community of Urbana had rallied behind 7-year-old Hannah Milbrandt in her fight with leukemia. It's just that it turned out in December last year that she wasn't sick at all. It was all a hoax.
6 p.m. this evening, we made 3 arrests in the Milbrandt case.
Police say this elaborate hoax was a collaborative effort.
Threatening leukemia, they contributed willingly for life-saving treatment.
Now, Hannah's dad, Bob Milbrandt, says it was all his wife's fault as she was suffering from a mental disorder.
Until I took her to the mental health facility here locally and listened to what therapists and the doctors actually said, I would probably be like a lot of people are now, you know, very bitter, very like, well, how could somebody do that, you know? I'm trying to think out how to word it. Intentionally, you know, but I know that now that it wasn't intentional.
For the time being, Bob and Terri continue to live together in another house, but still in Urbana. Bob says that he'll stand by his wife throughout this, even if they go to jail. His friends are left asking questions.
How he could live with her after she did this, knowing that she caused him to lose his child.
And the question on everyone's mind is, when he lived under the same roof as Terri and Hannah throughout the 9 months of the deceit, why didn't Robert Milbrandt realize that something was going on?
I never had any reason to doubt or to anything she was telling me. Well, you know, like I said, we've been married 9 years. I never had any reason to doubt anything she would tell me about one of the kids being sick, ever.
Prior to Terri Milbrandt's trial, an independent psychiatric evaluation has been ordered by the court. Robert Milbrandt's future depends upon him giving a convincing account of just how plausible Terri's deception was.
If you have one spouse that takes care of the children, and that spouse has a medical background, and that spouse handles the money, and that spouse says our child is sick, and that spouse says there's going to be chemotherapy and I'm going to take her, and leaves the house and drives to the place where the chemotherapy is supposed to take place, why the prejudice that of course he had to know?
It wasn't a premeditated thing, or, you know, let's decide to scam Urbana. You know, that isn't the way it works. I'm not smart enough to ever think up something that would, you know, I would have got caught months ago if I ever tried something that ridiculous.
she was elaborate. She didn't say, our daughter has leukemia. It was a tumor, and then it was multiple tumors, and they were at this place, and they were inoperable. And then she described the size of the tumors, the placement of the tumors. She described the type of medical treatment that the child would require, and she told him in the beginning, this type of therapy is not a big deal. She would give those pills to the child in front of Bob, so he saw her giving medication to the child. There were many occasions that Bob said, I am going to go to a doctor's appointment with you. I'm going to schedule time off and go. She would tell him the doctor's office called, they had to reschedule. I think those facts combined offer a legitimate explanation for how he couldn't have known and how he could have believed, just like everybody else believed for so long, that she was actually sick.
Why were there no bills coming in? I mean, for such a long period of time, you'd think that bills would be coming in on a daily basis with all the treatments that were supposed to have been being used.
Okay, for 8 years we were married. I never questioned the woman on medical issues or what's going on with the bills or whatever. Why would that change?
Don't parents go as a couple, as a family, to the doctor when you're told such a devastating thing?
I'm very uncomfortable with hospitals and that type of thing. But Teresa and I had talked so many times about, if we had to choose my job versus her job, we chose that, she would take care of it.
Even with Robert's neighbors, opinion is divided.
I seriously believe to this day that Robert didn't know.
I'm just going to hang on to the part that I hope he's not guilty. I hope he didn't know about this.
This gentleman got the mail. Where were the medical bills?
Yeah, but, I pay all the bills. See, there's a difference
I
here.
can understand that there is a difference in opinion, but I do not see how, if your child is that sick, that you are not going to go to the hospital.
It wasn't just the illusion of hospital trips and the regular course of medication that Terri would have had to convince her husband of. There was also the small matter of treatment at home by a healthcare nurse called Beth.
It was like Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or Tuesday and Thursday, usually 2 or 3 times a week, but usually Tuesday and Thursday, and once in a while there'd be a Monday or something in there. Typically the lady was there around 7:30 in the morning every day, between 7 and 7:30. I left for work at 4:30, so I never met the person or never had a chance to talk to that person about what was going on.
Whenever Hannah would talk about Beth, she would get happy. I mean, Beth came today, Beth this, and I mean, it was like, at the time I felt that Hannah was getting attached to Beth. I mean, she thought a lot of Beth. Beth made her happy.
I remember when Hannah had a birthday party at church.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Terri saying that Beth couldn't come, and she just had to tell Hannah why Beth couldn't come because of the confidentiality with the nursing department, and she was disappointed.
She was upset.
Very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't understand why Beth couldn't come to her birthday party.
Hannah can describe Beth to you. Hannah can tell you if she's blonde, how tall she is, if she has long hair or short hair. Beth doesn't exist. When my client inquired about Beth, 2 or 3 days later, there was a stethoscope laying in the driveway, and my client picked up the stethoscope and brought it in and said, "What's this?" And she said, "Oh, Beth has been looking for that." And this type of thing would happen over and over and over again.
Soon, the 3 accused are expected to go in front of Judge Roger B. Wilson and a jury of 12 local residents. Together, they could face up to 67 years in prison. Urbana is hungry for justice.
Why don't you say you're sorry? Why don't you come out and admit it and just say you're sorry so that we can all, get through this?
We love Bob and Terri. There needs to be punishment, though. There needs to be, when you commit a crime, always needs to be punishment.
The accused continue to protest their innocence.
I'm 45 years old. I've never done anything of any criminal nature in my entire life. But because somebody had an opinion that I did, that's where I stand right now.
I'm sure I'm being punished. Not for anything I did, but for being Teresa's mother. I did nothing in this, nothing. And I did not know that she wasn't sick.
I believe that at some time, not in the too far distance, that we'll all be back together as a family again.
Do I see an end to it? Yeah. When the trials are over. That much will be over. I mean, you know, I'll know whether I'm going to go to Marysville. I'll know how long my daughter's going to go to a mental institution or Marysville. You know, she could go for 30 years. I'll be dead in 30 years.
For many of those who knew the Milbrandts, their greatest wrath is reserved for 35-year-old Terri Milbrandt. They believe her to be a mother who failed to protect her child.
People like Terri, my own personal opinion, should not have children.
I think she deserves whatever they give her, and that can never make up for what she's done to her daughter.
For the time being, Hannah has been placed with a foster family in another city. Her friends make do largely with second-hand news of her progress.
They were telling me that a little boy came up and said something about, I seen your family in the newspaper. And she goes, oh yeah, she says, they're in there all the time. She says, I'm probably going to be famous before all this is over.
Urbana is keen to let Hannah know that she's missed and that she'll be welcome back anytime.
I have 3 daughters, and then when Emily came home and we talked about Hannah going to a foster home, they asked me what that meant, and I said, well, she's got to go live with another family. And my girls were like, well, can we keep her? You know, they came back, and it almost seemed like, you know, how you get like a dog at the pet shop or whatever. Like, can we keep it? Can we keep it? And I would if I could. I mean, Hannah's that good of a little girl. I would love to have her, you know.
Me and my friend Sadie always say that we really miss her and we really want to see her again.